My Name is Ben kanalına hoş geldiniz. Bugün önemli bir gün arkadaşlar. Just a second. Pavlov'un konuşmasıyla beraber enteresan bir akşam bizi bekliyor arkadaşlar. Okay. Vallahi iyiyiz çok şükür. Şimdi FET'le ilgili bir durum var. Onu acil izlemek için. Yayın açıyorum. Sıkıntı var yalnız burada şimdi. Önce onu bir çözelim. Okey, şimdi oldu. Şu an altını izliyor olacağız arkadaşlar. Yok endişeden ziyade şimdi buraya bir tarafta altın bir tarafa da Bitcoin alalım. Okey, tamam. Şu an göremiyorsunuz değil mi? Bir saniye. Okey. Alright. Şimdi oldu. Şurayı ikilesek. Şuradaki bakırı da 5 dakika daha alalım. Şimdi indikatörlerimizi de açalım ki ne olup bittiğini görelim burada. Hmm. Peki. Eyvallah. Şimdi daha net bir durum oluştu. Şimdi arkadaşlar birlikte 5 dakikalık grafiği açtım. Buradan bir taraftan da açtığım işlemler var benim. Buradan kontrol ediyorum. Sesim net geliyor mu? Burayı da düzeltelim. Fed diyor. Jeremy Powell. Şimdi bakın burada Bitcoin 38.685 seviyelerinde. Biraz böyle apar topar bir yayın oldu ama açıkçası ihtiyaç hasıl olduğu için. Şimdi burada biz haberleri Powell'ın konuşmasından ziyade, hatta Powell'ın konuşması varsa onu da açalım. Bir yandan da onu yorumlayayım. İyi akşamlar Serkan Bey, hoş geldiniz.
Gavin Newsom coming out, not really endorsing her, but sort of saying, hey, like, DeSantis, you should get out of the way. Also, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, came out and said, hey, Democrats, you should get behind Haley or DeSantis, have a big surge behind them in the last, 6 weeks, really, as we head into voting.
He said so. 5 million movies and as powerful as several thousand consumer.
Yeah, I mean, this is them. I get it, guys. It's all good. We're trying, but for whatever reason, this is just struggling, and that's okay. Again, it's the only Jerome Powell stream that we've struggled to get to work. So, I mean, it is what it is. I really wanted it to work for you guys. I'm going to try to log into StreamYard on a different browser, because maybe that's what is doing it. But I think it's most likely, what the problem most likely is
I think there will be a time, probably now, but if not now, in the not too distant future, where you will have
Congress created was the China program and the Exim Bank. We export material to Europe. So many barriers to actually getting that to help us, right? Because the government got on the phone with the bank and said, this is the exact thing the program was written for, and the bank wouldn't go into the program. They wouldn't put the effort to go into the program because they didn't believe the government. In our case, they said, well, what if they don't pay? What if they back out of it? But that could have saved our fundraising effort, because it would have changed the underwriting structure on the debt, right? Here's a program, again, like the director of Adam Frost, director of the China program, sitting here on the phone with the bank to get it done. So I'd say that you can do a lot. You can build a slow process. You can go through all these grants from DARPA to the Army to the Air Force.
Şimdi bir taraftan açtık.
And then get 16.8 million venture, then get.
Şimdi ben burada açıkçası altında sell pozisyonu açtım arkadaşlar. Şuradan. Neye göre bunu açtım? Şimdi şöyle 15 dakikalık değil de 5 dakikalık bugünkü grafikten bahsedeyim. Şimdi burada satış pozisyonu açtık. Neye göre? Bak burada indikatörümüz al vermişti. Al verdiği yerde aynı zamanda şurada da hem para girişini gördük hem de diğer indikatörlerin de yeşili yaptı. Yani pozitif ümitsizlik. Bununla beraber şu an izliyoruz pozisyonlar. Hem altında sell açtım arkadaşlar 2074'ten. Şimdi onu takip ediyorum bu pozisyonu. Şöyle şeyde biraz
work with entrepreneurs to figure out what is going to be that underlying business model. How can they grow in a way that is sustainable, and so that they're not overly reliant on venture capital, because what we know is
şu an Bitcoin'de de arkadaşlar pozisyon olarak şu an normalde al girmem lazım. Bu 38.678 seviyesinde. Benim şu anda bir sell pozisyonum açık. Birazdan ama şurada indikatöründe al verdiğini görüyoruz. Evet. Evet arkadaşlar. Pozisyonu açtığımız yeri işaretleyelim 2073.82. Neyse şuralardan açtım. 3.82. Şimdi buradan Forex'te satış pozisyonu açtık. Şu an biliyorsunuz eğleniyorlar bu arada Powell. Şunu da 7 saat önce paylaştık arkadaşlar. Onu da göstereyim size. Yani paylaştığımızda 2037 seviyesinde. Şimdi şöyle bir 15 dakikaya bir dönelim. Satış, evet, satış için pozisyonumuzu koruyabiliriz gözüküyor. Dediğim gibi bak Bitcoin'de sell var ama burada buy görmüştüm. Şu anda Bitcoin'deki sell pozisyonum ekside ama şu an dönebilir diye birazdan bir buy açabilirim. Sadece bekliyorum şu anda pozisyonu. Burada bir yandan da konuşmaları takip ediyorum.
Some of the monetary policy and some of the unintended impacts it has, particularly on black founders. Was talking to
Şimdi
mentioned that
şu noktadan
so they're in the clean energy space again, similar to you. There's subsidies.
sadece ne zaman seli kapatıp
Investment in the space.
baya döneceğim ona
But
bakıyorum.
the
Şöyle
challenges
küçük
they have are that
dakikaya bir
loans
dönelim.
are so expensive and they produce product.
Evet yavaş yavaş burada arkadaşlar pozisyonumu
Small business, it becomes really difficult to assume a loan. The venture capital environment has changed. Kind of the money that was going to black founders not going there.
evet, sell pozisyonumu kapattım 2067 seviyelerinden. Henüz bir buy pozisyonu açmadım ama biraz yükseldikten sonra tekrar bir sell pozisyonu açacağım. Aşağı giderse bir sonraki hareketli arkadaşlar işlem yapacağım. Onu da söyleyeyim.
So I was reading a Wall Street Journal article, but it was talking about tech companies' response to this current funding environment. So even though there are things that are better, so stock valuations going up, revenue going up, what's not going up is hiring for these companies. In fact, they're letting go employees, not maybe as drastically as they had been.
For English please press 7. Evet şurayı canlı izleyelim arkadaşlar. Bugünkü yayın özel bir yayın.
So again, looking at our campus partners, kind of how has job seeker expectations changed in light of what they might be hearing from their peers? Again, Raheem will start with you.
Evet, buradan 2068 seviyesinden çok büyük pozisyon diyor. Evet, bakın yükseleceğini söyledik. Buy dediğimiz al pozisyonu. ...2068'e doğru. Bu cesaret ister bu yayın arkadaşlar. Bu yayın cesaret ister. Bakın Bitcoin'de de canlı izliyoruz şu anda. Herhangi bir montaj yok. Tamamen samimi bir yayın. Evet, 2069'a çıktı. Bravo. Böyle küçük oynamalar çok önemli arkadaşlar. Forex'te ciddi kazanç sağlıyorsunuz. Evet. Şimdi şöyle diğer dakikalara bir gidelim. Bir dakikalık. İşte cesaret, işte feraset. Var 3 kişiyiz yayın yani. Öylesine butik bir yayın.
They are experts in endurance. They are people who are willing to adapt, and we're seeing that happen on a daily basis. They're rising
Kimler var
to
yayında bu arada? Bitcoin evet
not
arttı.
just what they can do to land future careers in the technology industry, but they're also thinking about entrepreneurship. What can they start for themselves? And that's all.
Fantastic. And again, we heard earlier in Chairman Powell's comments, kind of the goal is maximum employment, but also inclusive.
İşte feraset.
So, Allison,
İşte
curious
cesaret.
about your thoughts about best practices for
Şunu bir yayalım. Yayını yayalım. 3 kişiyiz arkadaşlar. Evet.
Foundation, we think about all stages of the pipeline or all aspects of the ecosystem. So I think there's specific interventions at each stage. One is expanding access to computer science, tech entrepreneurship education in K-12 and in post-secondary education. Two is broadening the pathways into tech jobs, so thinking beyond the traditional four-year degree, so things like apprenticeships and boot camps and different skill-based hiring processes. Modifying our outdated ideas of who should be hired into a tech company.
Evet, buradan bir daha açıyorum. Pozisyon. Yeni emir.
Special ability and lack of understanding of HBCUs and all of the brilliance that they produce.
Hadi
I
bismillah.
think we need expanded diversity in the leadership ranks, so that's something that we haven't really seen a lot of movement on in terms of on boards. And then something that I'm really interested in is accountability mechanisms. This is not necessarily just the role of the Fed, but the ways that boards, investors, and shareholders can implement different accountability mechanisms for actually
Bir şey söylerlerse zaten size vereceğim arkadaşlar.
Question that you need to be passionate about because for students and experience as well, the ability to get this kind of first job offer and get this promising career, it's a difference not just for that student, but sometimes for that family. And those are the students that are really motivated to investing into their own community. So we do see this as an investment strategy when we recruit our students. But we would also agree that the market has changed. It used to be that companies would be happy to hire graduates and would be ready to invest 2 years to train them. They would actually hire them into these training programs to teach them what they wanted to know. And the fundamentals have changed partly because nobody stays in the job as long as they used to, so companies are no longer willing to invest 2 years. And so what we find is that companies are demanding.
İsmail Bey burada, Serkan Bey burada. İşlemi başka ekrandan mı yapıyoruz? İşlemi telefondan yapıyorum burada. Şeyden, büyük ekrandan izliyorum şimdi. İşlemde burada MetaTrader'ım açık. Şimdi bir
with what the market demands, whether it's in tech or entrepreneurship or innovation, and we help them navigate sort of those pathways that we're familiar with, but they may not. So we want to make sure that they are comfortable going to a lobby of a Fortune 500 company. They know how to ace a technical interview, so they could get that all back to that tech.
evet, sell pozisyonumuz şu anda artıya geçti. Niye sell açtım? Tabii merak ediyorsunuz şu anda. Şimdi dakikalıkta böyle artı iken. Şurada 5 dakikalığa döneyim, hala arkadaşlar burada para çıkışını izliyorum. Ondan dolayı. Şu an sell açık, sell pozisyonu. Şimdi birazdan kapatacağım bunu. Evet, çok güzel. Bak 69'dan. Arkadaşlar burada valla canlı yayında açsınlar bakayım, böyle işlemlerini atıp tutuyorlar ama hakikaten canlı yayında bunu açmak cesaret ister. Bak direkt şimdi seli takip ediyoruz. Kapatacağım. Arkadaşlar yani böyle küçük küçük işlemler gördüğünüz gibi. Şu an 2067. Güzel gidiyor aşağıya. Şöyle bir dakikayı değiştirelim. 3 dakikaya. Bir alkış alayım kendime.
We're trying to focus on getting students to translate any idea into reality. So the way I like to describe the
Evet.
Innovation Lab is if you have an idea, you can make it possible. And so we do that in a number of different ways. Of course, we have a fellowship program where students will get paid to go ahead
Pozisyonu kapatıyorum.
and prototype a video game or prototype a business for a year.
Kapattım.
So instead of taking your classic work study job, they're able to come here and pay themselves to work on their own businesses. But we also do this in a variety of other ways. We have workshops, we have events for the students to come and participate in. We have over 9 clubs in the Innovation Lab, and it's really a place that is a campus-wide resource for all of our students.
Evet, Bitcoin'in yükselişini izliyoruz bir taraftan.
Basics of product development and entrepreneurship. Also with Codehouse, we are looking at understanding what is changing within the market and how do we make those students competitive. So are we looking at product
2066.
management? How are we
Birazdan buy gireceğim de.
are not just learning the
Bekliyorum
necessary
henüz.
programming skills, but everything else they need to be competitive in this field.
Bak burada savaş veriyor. Önce şunu yaktı. Hemen dalmıyorum. Şurayı izliyorum. Şurayı. Buralarda para girişini izlemeye başladım. Şimdi birazdan burada pozisyon açıp tekrar 69'lara kadar çıkmasını izleyeceğiz beraber.
And the connectivity to kind of professional game designers, right? All those things came together in that game jam. So really, really. For the last question, what I want to do is focus a little bit on Atlanta even more specifically. So, you know, again, we led up and said, well, Atlanta kind of is the home for inclusive innovation. Hopefully, the panel kind of reflects that viewpoint. And I see Donnie Beamer sitting out there, and it's been an intentional effort for the mayor's office to really do a better
Evet
job
arkadaşlar,
connecting
izleyin şimdi.
elements in
Bak,
the ecosystem,
buy dedik.
whether we're talking about,
Şu an
universities,
buy'ın
colleges,
savaşını veriyoruz.
the accelerators, the funders, the entrepreneurs
Şöyle
themselves,
daha
just
küçük
making
dakikaya
sure there's
döndüğümüzde.
more intention around that. So
Ha, pardon.
question is for
Şurayı
all panelists. So we'll just kind of round robin it. So how do you see the role of technology companies and tech entrepreneurship in shaping the future of the local
Evet, bir
economy here?
dakikalıkta da alıverdi.
What impact do you expect from that continued growth and focus on innovation? So we'll start here and we'll kind of round around.
Shout out, my wife went to Hampton. I didn't get to do my HBCU thing, so my mom and brother with the fam. Seriously though, you know, before I built Carbice commercially, I spent like a decade being a paid consultant. for
Canlı yayında
several
arkadaşlar
agencies
indikatörün
and
başarısını
materials. I built a
izliyorsunuz.
big network out there.
Her zaman
I was
göremeyeceğiniz bir
told
şey var.
directly that
Hiçbir hile yok.
come to
Tamamen
Silicon
hepsi
Valley
canlı.
to build Carbice.
Gözünüzün
A lot
önünde.
easier. Some people said we can't fund you because you're not in our backyard.
Çok teşekkür ediyoruz ve hemen bir araya gidiyoruz. Aranın ardından da yine buradayız efendim.
But to augment people. That in fact, if you use it in the workplace, you will be better at what you do. It's just not that you can turn it all over to and let it take over. That's what a lot of people are saying.
If you were back at the law firm now, you might be using it to summarize enormous amounts of material that would have taken
Nurullah Bey onu ayrıca
from another
diğer
job to
videolar
work
gibi
on.
analiz
The busy
edeceğim.
work might be good.
Well, this gets into the weeds, but when I started as an associate, one of the things we had to do was document review in response to subpoenas. There is nothing more tedious than going through boxes upon boxes upon boxes.
I believe this.
So if I could get a chat GPT to read through all this and just tell me the ones.
Lonnie moved in next door to us. We're building infrastructure of industrial manufacturing, which is important to be able to hit it big. But I think it's so important. I think that you need to be able to create jobs across the education spectrum. You just can't hire PhDs. You need to hire people with GEDs. And I think when you create new manufacturing companies, you create that spectrum and you create the ability to put the type of capital in the ecosystem that is needed.
Yeah, I'll just kind of add to what Barr said. I think he summed it up quite well. In terms of winners, you know, we had an analysis done by one of the consultant firms, and Donnie has already seen this report. And I think at least the consensus is that we really need to scale as a region. It's about 1,000 companies, right? And that's not something that Georgia Tech can do, has interest in doing. It's something that we have to do in partnership with Spelman and Morehouse and Georgia State and so we absolutely have to do that. And once you have 1,000 plus companies, you're getting a couple of unicorns and you're attracting all the big money and for them to be here permanently. And so that's what we want to be aggressive in doing. I'm going to talk to Isabel and JC after we leave and make sure that we are connected in terms of universities, but we got to scale and we got to get past just a few hundred a year inside the city.
I think it's been hit on a little bit, but I want to underscore the importance of connection and collaboration here in Atlanta. I think we have all the pieces that we need to achieve the goal of 1,000.
Evet, 2067 seviyesini görüyorsunuz. Çok kez test etti. Biraz yakınlaşıyorum şuraya, bakın. Yani aşağıya kırmak istiyor ama bir tarafta da evet, şimdi aşağıya biraz daha kuvvet alıyor. Bakın, izleyin. Bak gördünüz mü? RSI yönü aşağıda. Şimdi dönecek tekrardan.
Well, I don't think Powell's going to speak. I'm starting to get that vibe. This is the final question, so he's going to close it out, but we'll see.
Stories here in Atlanta, but the kind of flow back into, particularly into the Black community.
Evet, 2073'ten gelen ana satış şeyimiz devam ediyor, pozisyonumuz.
In order to make that reinvestment back into the community simple. So that is what I think it has to happen in order for Atlanta to really fulfill the promise of being the most inclusive entrepreneurship city in the world.
So I have the question about what can tech entrepreneurship do, because I think we're at this crossroad where it can accelerate growth, or it could turn Atlanta into what every other city that has seen tech entrepreneurship move in has become. And since we're already in the process, I think there's a
Evet, bay geldi dostlar.
And
Şu tarafa da
President
bakalım.
already mentioned earlier today about our ranking on wealth
Hala
inequality.
al koruyor. Para
I heard a
girişini
different number,
görüyoruz hala.
which was even worse. And so it's not good, it's been consistent. So what we know is we already have a foundation where we have a wealth inequality, and what we know is that when tech companies move in, typically it accelerates the wealth gap. Companies, communities get displaced, right? Gentrification. And yes, the gap in employment is part of the story because they say, well, we need, qualified tech workers and we don't have them, so we have to import them. And therefore, the people who actually get the jobs that pay are the people in the community, but they actually sell their homes, and then before they can't afford their homes, you can see the cycle. And so the problem is doing nothing will actually turn Atlanta into what every other city that has gone through this cycle is. So I think the first thing I want to say is I feel a sense of urgency and I feel a sense of collective responsibility that we cannot do nothing. That's the first one. So the part of the question is, well, what can we do? So I love this idea of having a community strategy, an ecosystem strategy, and I'm almost thinking, even though we all talk about ecosystem building, that ecosystem building suggests that we're going to invest into the stakeholders, that we'll nurture the stakeholders and make the system work. And
Nasdaq tarafına bir bakalım şurada. Nasdaq tarafında olumlu karşılanmış arkadaşlar. Bakın şurada Quickflash'i. Bu dakikalık grafik. Dakikalık grafikte 10 sonrası, yani konuşmanın başlangıcından itibaren endekste olumlu algılanmış Nasdaq tarafında.
Successful does not actually reflect the capabilities of our community or the needs of our community, but literally reflects the few that have been able to, by sheer will and divine intervention, make it through to the success, to a level that we could measure success. So I think we need to think about how we measure success, and we need, because I think there's a lot of pattern matching that's happening. So in the cone of silence of this room, I'm going to mention the CWP, right? I have a very good friend who's an angel investor in Atlanta who keeps telling me that if an entrepreneur of color wants to get funding, he needs a CWP, a competent white person as a front to actually get money. I know it's not politically correct to say it, but since I'm not raising, I can say it.
In the silence of this media-filled room.
There you go. Exactly. I was being a little facetious, but a little deliberate. The point I was making in this case was that sometimes, and this is a follow-up question perhaps, sometimes the policy decisions that we make do not translate into the funding decisions that an individual entrepreneur needs. But this is the kind of, this is the type of situation that we need to scale to have the level of success that we're talking about. So I keep asking myself, how do we make policy-aware decisions so that even when
Heyecanla bekliyoruz şu anda pozisyonu.
Distributed again, but the people who could need it and could make an impact don't get it. Again, so I have as many questions as answers, but I do know that it's a community strategy in order to make it happen. I think we have to ask different questions, and I think we have to be bold enough to consider that we have to build different systems, because I think that the current systems have done as well as they.
Hoş geldiniz, iyi akşamlar. Evet, canlı yayında plan nasıl yapılıyor arkadaşlar, onu izliyoruz. Burada 1 dakika, 3 dakika, 5 dakika grafiklere bakıyoruz. Bekle. Şu anda bir şu alt sinyalini inceliyoruz şu anda. Altında.
When those who have been traditionally, systemically underestimated, that's what I'm talking about, underestimated their capacity to produce, to innovate, to contribute, to lead. What happens when we actually invest in them? And how they can just transform the landscape, but again, create shared prosperity, and create a bigger pie for everyone. And I think Atlanta is uniquely positioned to be the test case for how to make that happen. So this is
fena gitmiyor, bakalım.
To make Atlanta the place where we can make that happen.
Pablo konuşmayacak galiba, henüz bağlanmış değil.
entrepreneurship, we do need to diversify the seats that are at the table, whether it's at leadership or at entry-level positions. That of course includes higher education, K through 12 space, but those who may or may not have GEDs. And when I look at my day-to-day working with tech entrepreneurs and students, I think of two gaps that need serious attention. And of course, the one that we mentioned earlier is fundraising, not just for our young entrepreneurs, our student entrepreneurs as they try to grow and build their businesses, but also for the programs that support them, right? At the institutional level, nonprofits,
Evet, biraz böyle
organizations
sessiz
that
bir
are
yayın
on the
ama
ground
şey
teaching
işlemi
the
takip
skills of
ediyoruz
what they need to
arkadaşlar.
be competitive in our
Konuşmayı
job
da beraber
markets, but then
açtığımız
also
pozisyon.
on how to create unicorns or how to create businesses that have a real potential in getting funding. So we need fundraising all around, or funding all around for all of these different support institutions. But then also we need access to opportunities. So many of our students, our students at Spelman are amazing. Y'all were shouting out your own HBCUs. I'm a graduate of Spelman. Dr. Cook is a graduate of Spelman. But our students are absolutely amazing. And there's still things that I think many students across HBCUs, they don't know what they don't know yet. And we're working very hard to make sure that they are capable, that they have access to different opportunities, that they know the pipelines, they know the pathways, they know how to find funding, how to make their businesses competitive. But there's still more support that needs to be had. And though while I'm very encouraged with what I see at HBCUs and the products that HBCUs are producing, of course, including those here at this table, we still recognize the financial challenges
Bu
that
arada
HBCUs face,
sorularınızı
right?
iletebilirsiniz
And that
arkadaşlar
includes
beklerken.
nonprofits that support minorities, whether it's women, whether it's students of color. There's a lot of support that still needs to be had in these ecosystems.
Sometimes I think, I should have started my career as an entrepreneur, but I had a great experience as a Air Force officer and NASA scientist, engineer. When I left that profession and became an entrepreneur, I had a lot to learn about business. So uphill climb. But I decided I wanted to be aggressive and do some things really in our lives and make a difference. Same reason that Barton.
Evet, buy kısmını görüyorsunuz arkadaşlar. Sabırlı olmak gerekiyor. Bak 2065'lerden aldığında şu anda. Çok şükür. Yani bu indikatörün ne kadar aslında faydalı olduğunu görüyoruz birlikte.
It is power hour. Powell has yet to speak. He might not, like I was saying. This was the last question. Took a while, but I don't think he is, man.
There's another company called QuantumScape.
Ya, sezon olarak düşünmemek lazım. BTC'yi şöyle biraz günlüğe aldığımızda katlama bölgesindeyiz zaten. Ben hani burayla alakalı olarak atakların devam edeceğini düşünüyorum. Uzun vadede düşünebilirsiniz arkadaşlar. Çok böyle sepet yapmak işte burada bunun için önemli. 2068'lerdeyiz. Bakın tıkır tıkır işliyor. Evet.
But the remains that they have a lot of cash. And when you're talking about
Çok
launching
güzel
a battery
görünüyor.
operation, there are a number of companies that come to
Yeah, it has been an hour. I just kind of realized that. It felt a little shorter, but yeah, it's been an hour of this. No Powell yet.
considering the challenges that I've had up to now to raise money. So bringing in Bert Ellis and people who are long-term historical entrepreneurs and white, of course, they're now getting access to the capital. We're starting to roll out. Things are moving forward, and I'm excited. But it really is a challenge. I think that Atlanta has a very powerful ecosystem in its educational institutions as well as the desirable
alıcı verdiği
among
yere
Black
bakın, satış
entrepreneurs to
yerine
really
bakın.
be successful.
37
And I
bin
think that with
seviyelerinde,
that drive,
8 bin
we
seviye,
will
900
continue
seviyelerinde,
to
neredeyse
push forward
39
in
bin.
determination.
Müthiş,
The
müthiş
policy
bir performans.
decisions and translating that policy into actual funding decisions, that is an uphill battle. The federal government has announced and has really put a lot of effort into renewable energy technology. Somebody's getting all that money.
Yeni bir bay geldi.
I'm still waiting to try and get,
Bayla
even though we have
ilgili,
cutting edge
Al'la
technology, we're
ilgili
doing the proposals,
tepkisini
we're going through the
verdi.
process.
Bakalım şimdi.
But again, it's a learning process, and
Canlı
you pay
izliyoruz
your dues
arkadaşlar.
to get a
Para
seat at
girişi
the table.
devam ediyor.
But it is an uphill challenge. So I remain very optimistic that with our determination and with the institutions that we have that are really cranking out very, very highly prepared students and budding entrepreneurs, for Atlanta will continue to grow and prosper. But it is an uphill battle.
Brilliant comments by my colleagues. I don't know that I have all of that much to offer to close, but just from an external perspective, we're obviously based in Oakland, but we saw the potential in Atlanta probably 5+ years ago. And I think to Isabel's point, I think
If
there's
y'all
so
want,
much potential and
listen,
opportunity.
I've
Love the
gone through
idea
an hour of
increased
this. I've seen way different comments on the Twitch. So if y'all want to finish the day, I'll see you there. Okay? I love you. Have a good weekend, guys.
Okey. Kapattım. Evet, çok böyle öncesinde zaten bu konuşmayı fiyatladı böyle çok. Ondan sonraki atakları izliyoruz yani. Ondan sonraki hareketler, dalgaları takip ediyoruz. Şu an 69 seviyelerinde. Buy pozisyonumuzu ne zaman kapatacağız onu bekliyorum ama şu an hala para giriş var ve al seviyesinde olduğu için şu an buy pozisyonumuzu korumaya devam ediyoruz. Eğer bir şey olursa şuradan telefondan da BTC'ye bir daha dönelim. Bir saatliğe geçelim. Evet, BTC bir saatlikte sat geldi arkadaşlar. Yani buralardan bir düzeltme bekliyor olacağız. Nereye kadar bir pozisyonumuz var bizim? BTC'de. Bir tane açık 38.500'e kadar bir açık pozisyonum var. BTC sell olarak. Onu kapatmayacağım. Evet, 642. Pozisyon devam ediyor. Evet, şu anda ilk hedeflerden birine değdik. 2069 seviyesi. Şimdi tekrar buradan bir düzeltme, 67'lere kadar bir düzeltme görebiliriz. Para girişi hala mevcut. Dakikalığa gidelim, orada durum ne? Evet, dakikalıkta arkadaşlar. Yana doğru alalım da görün. Nereden düzeltmeyi aldığını. Tam da bakın arkadaşlar. Efsane bir yerden düzeltmeyi aldı. 2067'lere inecek. Evet, bugün bayağı pozitif işlemler oldu. İnşallah böyle ara ara yaparız. Bugünlük bu kadar. Daha sert hareketler bekliyordum ama çok sert hareketler yok böyle. Siz de bekletmenin bir manası yok. Yeterince kendini ispatladığını düşünüyorum sistemimizin. Hani analiz yapıyoruz. Neye göre yapıyoruz? Onları da görün istiyorum. Ara ara. Elimizde kuvvetli bir yazılım. Ve bu yazılımın arkasında da kuvvetli bir teknik analiz bilgisi. Onun dışında Pablo'nun ne söylediği aslında çok da önemli değildi bizim için. O biraz işin esprisiydi. Magazin kısmı. Ama dediğim gibi grafik bizi yanıltmaz. Bakın canlı yayında söylediğimiz şeyler tıkır tıkır tıkır gerçekleşiyor. Müneccim olmaya gerek yok. Sadece dediğim gibi sistemi iyi anlamak lazım. İyi akşamlar diliyorum herkese. Bir başka gün görüşmek üzere.